let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave Frank from Cleveland. Just got done watching the game. DeAndre Carter and Deontay Johnson's got to go. I'll keep Leverton or whatever his name is, and the other guy, Davis. Go with the youth movement. And they sort of shafted Shedeur, I think, with that offensive line. Them guys were in the backfield every play. Let me know what your thoughts are, brother. You be safe, you and the family. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Spencer German, 92.3 The Fan, Browns on SN, the Locked On Browns podcast. Spencer, we've the offensive line part. 3 of the 5 offensive linemen that were on the field with Shedeur were also on the field at the end of the first half when Gabriel marched him downfield with the 2 minutes, the 2-minute offense and got the field goal where they scored. Sanders looked good against the Panthers. Everything we heard that he struggled with, we saw against the Rams over the weekend.
Yeah, I think this can be one of those cases where like 2 things can be true at once. I think that it can be true that Shedeur Sanders wasn't necessarily always put in the best situations this offseason, this training camp and preseason. That end of the game, that second half of Saturday's game, I think is one example of that. Clearly, he didn't have the top receivers out there, didn't have the top offensive line out there. I get all that. I also think, though, that the game and the performance can be evidence that Shedeur does have some things to get better at, and I think that's honestly totally okay. He's a rookie. Nobody expected him to have it all figured out at once. I think that's part of the problem here is there's this strong belief from a lot of Shedeur Sanders fans that he, was shafted in the draft. And I'm not saying he wasn't to a degree, shafted to the point where he was taken in the 5th round when people thought he should be a day 2 guy. And I agree with those sentiments that he probably should have been a day 2 guy. But, I think there was people who thought like he was already a finished product and they're having a hard time comprehending like why he hasn't like won the job. And so they're pointing to all these other things as reasons why he hasn't climbed the depth chart or why he isn't more prominently involved in the offense or why he isn't ahead of this guy or that guy. And I just think some of those things have gotten a little ridiculous. The Browns every step of the way have said they want to be patient with Shedeur Sanders. They have exercised that, I think, throughout this training camp and preseason. They don't want to rush him into a less advantageous situation where he gets his career gets ruined or he just isn't the same player. He can't figure it out mentally. So they're giving him time. And I think what's been sort of lost in all this is that Shedeur Sanders has every step of the way said that he knows he has things to work on and he understands that he's just kind of following God's plan, to sort of paraphrase him, and that when his time comes, he'll be ready for it. So I think I think that as we turn the corner to the regular season, I think there is probably some good that can come from not having to track these quarterbacks every single day and do like the stat tracker and figure out like who's ahead of who or who should be ahead of who, and the fact that we won't see Shedeur Sanders for a little bit of time here, and he can just kind of keep working on what he needs to work on, and when he gets put out there, he'll get put out there. But yeah, I think things have gone off the tracks a little bit. I think you saw some of those flaws and some of those concerns in his game on Saturday against the Rams. The drifting in the pocket. It didn't look like he saw the field very well, and I think that was different from what we had seen throughout all of training camp and his previous preseason game, where he saw everything well. I wonder if he was pressing a little bit, like he felt like he had to do more than he did. I don't know everything that was going on in his head, but yeah, I think that it can be a situation where we walk away understanding, okay, there's things for this guy to work on. That's okay. And that, yeah, maybe he wasn't in the best situation every single time he was out there. And that hopefully when he gets put in those situations where he's got more talent around him, that he continues to just, thrive and show what he's done throughout his college career and in the early stages of his NFL career. This game does not have to define him in any way, shape, or form, and I think that's the biggest thing people have to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's a preseason game. First one was good, second one was bad.